Welcome back. As we go and explore tonight one of the new features at FamilySearch, the AI Full-Text Search. What I consider one of the biggest improvements that FamilySearch has come up with in a long time. We'll cover several things about it. Our plans to cover what experiments are, because it's found in experiments. We'll talk about what full text is, why it's needed, how does it work, how many and what kind of databases are available to search, some search techniques, and then we'll take it for a short ride. Okay, so what are FamilySearch experiments? The FamilySearch Lab showcases new innovative family history technologies, things that aren't quite ready for the prime time, but they're being developed and improved. So it's kind of like a beta site for new improvements. These are not finished products. They're still being worked on. And as soon as FamilySearch is happy with them and they add the extra features, they will be putting it up for all of us to use. And it says some features may not make it to full production. I fully believe the AI search is going to full production. So I don't think we have to worry about that. It's just a matter of them needing to tweak it until they're fully happy with it before they turn it loose without it being part of Labs. Now, where can you find this? If you're on the homepage of FamilySearch, after you've signed in the right-hand column, you'll be able to find the link that you see there on the screen that says FamilySearch Labs with the little picture. And the View Experiments link is the thing you'll want to click on. If you want to go straight to it, just go to www.familysearch.org/labs. Now, because Labs is experimental and they're working on it, they often make changes to it, and sometimes you'll not be able to get into it. What I've been told is that if the link that's that you see in the picture here that's on the homepage, if that link is not working and it gives you an error message, oftentimes you can still use it if you will just go in and after FamilySearch.org type /labs and go in that way directly to the programs, and then you'll be able to use them. So that's what I've been told. I can't guarantee you it'll work, but occasionally you will find it down as they tinker with it. Okay, so what is full text search? Full text search is a technique that allows the user to search for specific words or phrases within the entire text of a document or collection of documents, and uses OCR or handwriting recognition, depending on whether it's typed or handwritten. The improvement here is that in indexing, you are only allowed to find out about certain key things that were in a document. With the AI full text search, you literally can explore the entire text and check out every word that was in it. Okay, this enables users to find relevant information by searching for keywords or terms. You don't have to just focus on names, dates, and places. You can use other words and terms to help you find what you're looking for. And it allows you to locate specific information within the text, things that might have been hidden, might have been overlooked in other indexing projects will now be able to come up. You'll be able to search large volumes of text with one search. The key point here is for the first time, you're now able to search every word in a document, not just the selected text that indexing wanted. And additionally, it can be used on printed and handwritten documents. And that's really important, especially the handwriting. Okay, why was it developed? Well, in my estimation, one of the biggest reasons behind it is the fact that we're really decades behind in indexing, as they are able to pull up more and more record sets and documents online they're putting them up in such a rapid pace that there's no way we can catch up. And every year we fall further behind in indexing. And so something had to be done, or we were going to have a problem of having billions and billions and billions of records and nothing searchable by normal searches. So this helps relieve that issue. Also, there's a great need for handwriting recognition, because cursive is not something that's well taught anymore in schools. We're raising a whole new generation of people that can't read cursive. They can't read cursive. How can they index? They can't index. We can't get the records. And so therefore, it was really important that FamilySearch include the ability to read handwritten documents and get the information extracted for us to use. Okay, and many records don't have a set format. Indexing worked great for documents that had columns and set fields and things like that, so that it was easy to computerize the system, and they could find the things they were looking for. This works much better for things like a will or a deed, where even though there might be a set pattern in there, it's hard to locate those things within the document itself. And so this works for things that don't have a set format, because they're looking at every single word that's there. Also, like I said, it searches every word in the documents. Sometimes you can find things here in these documents that would have been bypassed or overlooked in an indexing document. And because it's being done by AI, it can also provide us with a transcript of the document, so that we have a written transcript that we can copy and paste and use however we want. And so this is a great improvement. It especially helps us in reading those documents that are hard to read and understand, because now you can actually see the entire document and the typed out transcript. Okay, so how does the program actually function? Well, what happens is FamilySearch receives these digital documents, and they have to organize them for viewing online. So they do a lot of things behind the scenes that we never see, blocking these documents out and preparing them to be put online. Then the document is read and transcribed by AI. Transcription is added to the document. They're paired together. The patrons then can perform a search within the chosen record group or groups and find the document. And when they find it, they'll be able to turn it into a source or a memory and tag people to it in tree. So this is basically the sequence of how things will flow with this program. So what is available to search? Rather than take you first over and do actual searches, let's just talk about how can we find out what's there. Okay, well, when you're on the home page for AI search, you'll be able to go down below where you would actually perform a search for somebody, and you'll find a link that talks about find a collection. And what we can do there is we can either type in the name for a type of collection, or location of a collection, or we can browse. I'd recommend you try browsing, at least at first, so you can see what kind of things are there. So if you click on Browse All Collections, what you're going to get is a list of what's there. And you've got to realize that virtually every day or week anyway, there are new collections being added. I mean, lots of collections being added. You'll see that tonight as we go through this. So if you didn't find what you were looking for last time you were there, come back and try again, because you might be surprised. It might be there now. Okay, and when you click on that link for Browse All Collections, you'll get a listing, something like this. And when it started, there were like 2 collections. And it wasn't hard. We didn't have to do much to search because they put it right on the home page. They said, these are the collections we have. Then it went to 4 collections. And then I didn't pay attention for a while. And then all of a sudden, when I came back, we were into the thousands. So you have another place at the top of the list of collections to do a search, or you can just browse down through them. And notice that when I did this image, it says there were 1,975 images or collections, sets of documents. That was probably sometime early in December because I see the 4th of December is the most recent date for the last update on that list. And when I took a look at it back on the 17th, when I created this slide, it was up to 3,753 collections. So, I mean, there are tons of collections here. And as you can see from the number of records in each collection, some are small. Kingdom of Hawaii military service, just 4 records, 4 pages. Or Kentucky wills, you're talking about 2,103,000, almost 104,000 pages of documents. So you have large collections, you have small collections, and everything in between. But you can go and browse and see exactly what they might have available. Now, to actually do a normal search, you come back to that home page of the AI search, and you have some boxes you can fill in. The first one is keywords. And it's interesting that the first keyword they put in there is a person's name. And then the next box down says name. So what I would say is I would have you think that where it said name is actually the person you're looking for. Under keywords, you might put the name of somebody else you might like to see also in the document. Remember, if you did put that in, like say you're looking for John Smith and Jane Lee is his sister, and you want to see a document with both of them in there, then you put Jane Lee up above under keywords in quotes and hope to find her in the document. And remember, if she's not there, you're not going to see the document. If it just said Jane, then you're probably not going to see the result. If it had a different last name, say she had married Jones and it was Jane Jones now, you're not probably going to find her either. Okay, but you can put other words like will or dead or the name of a town or things like that under keywords. Then for the names, beware that it's going to give you back exactly what you asked for. So if I'm looking for a James Watson Smith in the name section inside quotes, I'm going to try things like James Watson Smith or James Watson or just James Smith or J.W. Smith or James W. Smith or JMS for James Smith or JMS period W period Smith. I'm going to try all those different variations because the documents might have that name in those different forms. And for places, you want to try to be careful that you're not too broad or too narrow. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but that is the truth. You don't want to be too broad. You don't want to be too narrow. A lot of times it all depends on who you're looking for. If you're looking for a very unusual name, you can be very broad. You could just leave it empty. Or you could just put a state there. If you're on a very, very common name, John Smith, you might want to go down to as far as maybe even a city or a county, or at least a state, because you want to kind of narrow things down. When you can't find something in, say, a certain county, try the neighboring counties. You can't find it in a certain state, look in the neighboring states. Dates are really organized behind the scenes in decades. But you can search for a specific date range. You can put, like, if somebody died in 1848 and you're looking for probate, it might not happen until 1850 something. You could put 1848 to 1855 for a range. Okay, so those are the search fields. These are the only fields you have for searching. So you have to decide how you're going to use it. I honestly oftentimes just use the name and leave it at the name only to start with, and then go from there. Here are some search tips that will help you a little bit with some of the searching. One is find an exact word or phrase. And when you want that, you're going to put it in quote marks. So if you want an exact name or phrase, put it in quote marks. And I left out the quotes behind sans on that line, but I think it would actually count that. But I should have put the quotes behind there. Okay, include specific words or phrases. If you want something specific included with what you're searching, you can put plus and then whatever that thing is you want. Like I might want a Joseph E. Sands and a document that also names a Judith. So I can say Joseph E. Sands in quotes, space, plus Judith. And then it'll give me results if the word Judith happens to show up on the same page with Joseph E. Sands. If I don't want somebody in there, I can put a minus and the word if I don't want a certain thing or name or whatever. So I can say Joseph E. Sands in quotes, space, minus John. So I don't want any documents that name a John in that case. Okay, if I want different spellings of a name and just changing like one letter, I can use a question mark. I can go JENS question mark N, and that can get me Jensen or Jensen. Either way, Jensen or Jensen. If I want to see variations with more than one letter, I can use the asterisk symbol. I can put car with an asterisk, and I'll get things like car, cars, carriage, carpenter, anything that has a CAR in it, then something after it. So, if you do Jones and you put the asterisk in place of the S, you'll get words that started out with JONE and then other things at the end. Okay, now another way to search or to filter your search is the one I like to use, and that's the filtering that's found on the results page. So I've done a search for Joseph E. Sands, and I got 792 results. That's a few more than I want to filter through. So what I'll do is I'll go over where that red box is, and I'll try the different filters. If he died in Pennsylvania in 1881, let's try applying some filters, and we'll try it one at a time. We'll start with clicking on year, and we'll filter it down to the 1880s decade. In other words, 1880 through 1889. By doing that one filter, just filtering the name and that decade, I've reduced the number of results to 194. Still a few more than what I wanted. So then I went over to place and I picked United States and then filtered down to Pennsylvania. And when I did that, I'm now down to 6 results. Now I'm in business. And when I looked at those, the very first one is exactly what I was hoping to find. It's a will or administration for Joseph E. Sands of Bloomsburg, Columbia County, Pennsylvania, which is where he was born or where he lived. Okay, so here's the results. It's a handwritten document and it's a letter of administration for Joseph E. Sands, and it highlights in yellow or orange the word Sands, Interesting, it leaves out the Joseph E, where it was Joseph E on the first one and the third one. It didn't highlight it for whatever reason. But what's beautiful is if you're having trouble reading that, you have a nice typed out transcription with or without errors in it, but at least it's a lot easier to read than the original document, especially for those that don't know handwriting much. But this is the kind of result that you can get from doing searches here. It's a document that we've never had indexed, probably never would have gotten indexed other than through this program. So now, how can we use this? Let's source it. Now, there's a couple of ways to do it. I'll show you one way on this. The first little symbol there is to add this image to your source box for later attaching to tree. Okay, and when I click on that, I get a choice of add image to source box or go to my source box, maybe to go look and see if I've already done it or not. Okay, I can also see what the citation looks like. And if I wanted to, I could attach it to tree, but right now, we're going to click on add image to the source box. That's what we're going to actually do. Okay, so when we do that, we get this box and it asks us first where in the source box we want to put it. And we have a folder that's your default folder that's called home. So that's where we'll stick it. You create a source title or edit the source title somewhat, because in this case, it wouldn't give me Joseph E. Sands 1881. It just gave me Wills and Administration, Bloomsburg, Probate Administrator Records, and so on. So I added his name and the date, and then I added the note, State Administration for Joseph E. Sands. And I click Save, and when I do that, if I go over to the source box now, this is a source sitting in my source box, ready to be attached. And I can attach it whenever it's convenient for me to do that. But I don't have to worry about where was that I found it, because I've now got the source already created for me. And it will take me back to this page. Okay, so now what I want to do to actually source it is I'll go to Joseph E. Sands records and I'll go up to his sources. When I click on it, I will then click on add source and I'll say attach from the source box. So when I go over to the source box, you'll see here's my source. All I have to do is click attach and give a reason. I'll say he died without a will in 1881. This is a link to the record of his estate administration. And click attach. And once I've done that, we're down in his sources. He now has this as a source. It's actually the second one, not the first one. Okay, sometimes you find things that you weren't expecting. This is just a second source just to give you a feel for things. I always kind of like to check on my grandfather, who died back in 1918 in a mine accident, because you never know what you're going to find. And, I found his marriage and things like that. I've found his will, or not his will, but his death certificate. And I went in here and did a search for just his name and nothing else. Got 13 results, and 10 of them pertain to his inquest. Since he was killed in a mine accident, they had a coroner's inquest. I would never have expected to see this on FamilySearch. This is totally blew me away, because it's actual inquest typed up with all the questions and answers that were given. Goes for a total of 18 pages. Now, very, very touching to me and very interesting, and something that I never expected to see. And it just popped up when I was making this presentation. Now, what can I do with this? I want to source it. So I go and I search through the 18 pages of this document till I get to the front page. This was the front page. And I'm going to source it based on the front page so that you get to where it starts. If you go to the link. Okay, so I click attach to tree. And then I have to fill out the form. So I put in there, about him, the year, and the fact that it's a Mojave County coroner inquest. And the date of it was the 3rd of December. And I put in some notes about it, said there were 18 pages. And when I'm finished, I got to make sure I want to click add to source box. I want that to be in my source box. And I want to click next. Once I click next, the next thing they're going to do is they're going to want me to attach it to tree, to people and tree. The only person that I really was named in this is my grandfather. My grandmother wasn't named, and so we just attach it to him. Okay. Once he's been attached, it's going to say, do you want to attach any of the other people in the immediate family? And so it shows his wife, my father, and which was his son and his parents, but none of them are named in this, so there's no sense worrying about them. So I just click next. I give a reason to attach this to him. And so I wrote, due to the accidental nature of his death, the inquest into the cause of death was held. And then say attach it to tree. When I'm done, there's my source with a link that will take me back to that search, that AI indexed record. So it's really not hard to do. So now what kind of things do we show on these now? Remember I said when I first started, there were only about 4 records. Most of them pertain to wills or probate records, let's say probate records and land records. But now you're going to start seeing vital records in there, birth, marriage, and death records. I see medical records listed, migration records, military records, property records, wills and probates, administrations, a thing called biographies, which when I've searched them, appear to be newspaper extracts. And there's education records, employment records, enslavement records, religious records, divorce records, and on and on. You see the breadth of things that are here. This is going to become one of those things you're going to have to go to when you want to search family search, because as time goes on, I predict there'll be more records to be found in this program than there is over in the normal record search. This will become your primary record searcher. Okay, when you're doing this, consider picking an individual collection to search, because there's going to become more and more records in here, and it's going to be harder and harder to find the one you want. So you might want to filter down to the location and kind of records you want to begin with, so that you don't get inundated with too many results. Also realize that if you're over there in the browsing the collections and you're looking for something in the United States, a state's set of records are found 2 different ways in that list. Some of them will just be with the state name and then the type of record, like Arizona probate and wills. Okay. Others will be found under United States, comma, Arizona, comma, biographies. And so you're going to have to learn to look 2 different places. One, starting with the state's name, or starting with the words United States and then the state you want. Okay, there's 2 places that you're going to find in that list of browsable things that a state will have records listed, and they are different records in each location. So you really have to look carefully. Okay, I want to thank you for coming out, watching this. Hope that it helps you in using this AI search. Really a great new tool. I think you're going to love it. And we'll see you next time.